Okay, we've got BSL interpreters. We have the BSL interpreter today, so if anybody needs the support of our BSL interpreter, please do make yourself known to us, and we'll ensure that we support you. The room team, these events take a lot to organise, and I work with an amazing team. So I'd just like to, if it's okay, just to introduce the team here today. So all the staff members, if you could stand up and just introduce yourself, please. Thank you, Anna. Everybody knows Andrew. Thank you, Sadia. We've got Abu at the back. Thank you, Emily. Yep, everybody knows Afia. Thank you, Fatima. And we've got Chris, who does all the technical stuff behind the scenes.
Chris.
And we've got two facilitators online, which is Sam and Consumer. And we've got and
hello everyone, my name is John Silsa, meeting everything worker for Plaistow.
John doesn't need a mic, you know. And we've got two colleagues, Mary and Edward. And we've got another new volunteer. We've got some wonderful volunteers today. So we've got Edward and we've got Mahini. Is Mahini here? And there's Mahini. So these are our newer volunteers. Okay, so that's our colleagues around the room. So throughout the session, throughout today, if you've got any questions or any queries, please approach one of the staff members and we'll be more than happy to help out. Thank you. Just some guidelines for today. We're going to have lots of discussions, lots of interactive sessions. So please do say what's on your mind, listen to each other, be respectful. And then when I ask you all to come back, if you could be respectful enough to stop your conversations and come back to the room so we can finish on time. Hope that's okay in terms of guidelines. Is that okay? Yep. Fantastic. Thank you. So, what is people-powered places? I struggled to say that right at the beginning. So, you all would know things called community assemblies. We've gone through a rebrand, and we're now calling it people-powered places. And today, it's the priority session. The next session we will have will be solutions. So, people-powered places solutions. So, you're all part of the largest participatory budgetary program in the country. So that's a phenomenal achievement. The mayor, the councillors, the cabinet members have allocated £1.6 million to support neighbourhood initiatives. So how many neighbourhoods do you think we have? 8. Before I even finish that, Eleanor, a round of applause for Eleanor. So the councillors and the council have been listening to the feedback that you've been given through the evaluation of this programme since 2018. And we've actually increased the amount from £100,000 to £200,000. It doesn't mean that more money is being put into particular projects. It means that we've got more opportunity for more projects to be put forward. And we can explain that a little bit later on. The program, lots of residents were saying that the program is too short, 1 year. There's lots of things you need to get through, such as planning, application, all those kind of things. So the council have actually, and your members have actually increased it to 2 years. So it gives a lot more time, and I'll explain that a little bit later. So where does the money come from? The money comes from something called Neighbourhood Community Infrastructure Levy. So what this means is that any developments that are taking place within the borough, there's a charge put onto those developers and they put this back into the community. So what is that funding for? The funding is for the development of your local area. It's for open spaces, infrastructure, public spaces, and also to contribute to the health and happiness of the community members here in Plaistow. Thank you, Chris. Okay, so how many wards do we have in Plaistow? 3. Who knows what those wards are? Plaistow North? Plaistow South? That's right. Plaistow West and Canning Town East. And we're fortunate enough to have 9 amazing councillors that work in the neighbourhood. And they're here today. And I'm going to ask some of our councillors if they're here if they're kind enough to say a few words. I've got a mic going around. So if you bear with me a second.
Started with me. Hello. She'll stand up anyway. Hello, Councillor Jane Lofthouse here, Plaistow South. And I know at least half of you here. Lovely to see everybody again. I think this is really going to be a very, very exciting development. We had citizens' assemblies, community assemblies, and growing all the time until we got people-powered places. I won't say it quickly, so I'll get stuck. I think it can really be exciting, and I'm very much looking forward to what we're going to do with it. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Councillor Joy Laguda. I'm pleased to say I'm celebrating my 25 years in Plaistow North as a councillor. A quarter of a century in Plaistow North. I'm so happy about it. That's why I'm saying it. Anyway, it's lovely to see all of you here and all the faces that we know, all the people we've worked with all these years. And I hope we continue to do the PPP, as I call it, because the word is too much for me. The 3 Ps or PPP. So anyway, it's good to know whether you know your local area and what issues you have and what strategies you're going to do in your local area. So it's nice to see you all and have a nice evening. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm John Morris. I'm Councillor for Plaistow West and Canning Town East. It's the newest ward, and it's so good they named it twice. Well, I got a laugh at least. I'm also a new councillor myself. I only got elected last year, and actually I'm a community assembly winner. My project, the park is just outside, and actually the feedback I got is that people genuinely like it. So actually, as both a person that has seen a project and applied for it and actually seen it benefit its community, I think assemblies like this is your way to empower yourselves to make your community a much better place. So what I will say is get those applications in and good luck.
So I'm Neil Wilson, and I've been around, can you hear me all right? I've been around since 1994, as a councillor back in 1981 in Plaistow. And what keeps me going is the energy that's reflected in this room, our diversity, the way that I think Jane, Joy, and John, and whether you're on the council for the first term or like me now, I think 8 terms. What keeps us in the heart of this Plaistow area is the community. So it's really important. We're your representatives. It's your decisions that shape it. I like the idea of people powered places. Set that right. And then where all my colleagues have said, whether they should be here or not, we've got 9, I think, very true, hard-working councillors, whether they're the older councillors, but we're all aging well in there, right? I'm developing a well strategy, so I'm really careful, I say. But no, seriously, thanks for hosting this, thanks to all the team behind this, and mostly your contributions. Only, as we all say, it's only with your participation that we can actually improve our environment, so that people are proud of the centre of it. And I know that I might not look in a certain direction, but the road where I live is actually in the right centre of the road. We can measure it on a map. But that's another quiz we'll do another day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Wilson. I'm just having a look online. Is there any councillors online? We've got Councillor Charlene McLean, who will be addressing the group at the end. Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. Okay, so some local information about the 3 wards we have in Plaistow. We can see the largest ethnic groups within Plaistow is Asian and the Asian community and the Black community. We've got a relatively young population, and I can see from the chart here, 35 to 49-year-old are in terms of the age distribution, and the general health of Plaistow looks to be very good to good health. So we're going to spend a bit more time looking at the health and well-being and the communities a little bit later on in interactive sessions. So thank you very much. So what we've put together a short video that kind of gives an overview and insight to what People Power Places is. We're going to see some feedback and listen to some feedback on some of the community projects that have been delivered over the last year or so. So I'm going to ask Chris if he's kind enough to share the video.
Hi, I'm Councillor Charlene McLean. I'm the Cabinet Member for Resident Engagement and Resident Experience, and I oversee People Powered Places, the new brand of the Community Assemblies. We're currently celebrating the end of the second cycle. There's been a wide range of projects, gardens, playgrounds, compostable toilet. There's been all sorts of different ideas that people have come up with. As time's gone on, people have got more involved, and you can really see an excitement and buzz amongst local residents.
I think it's definitely everyone's responsibility to get involved in local knowledge. At least you can bring your opinion and maybe even introduce something that just wasn't thought of before.
Platforms like the Assembly are really important because we're all part of this local community. I'm no less part of it by facilitating a project than somebody who's voted for a project and who comes along to the project. So there's a sense of cohesion.
We've evaluated the last 2 cycles and listened to people to see how we can improve. The cycle is going to be for 2 years next time around, because residents felt that they needed more time to develop their project and to deliver. We also introduced the Co-Create platform.
Newham Co-Create is Newham Council's online digital platform, and it's a way for us to extend our engagement online. It isn't replacing face-to-face engagement, it's just for us to extend it and to create a digital way for our residents to keep up to date with projects, to take part in engagement processes, to find out about the different consultation pieces that are happening in their neighbourhoods. We use it to recruit our working group members. We also use it to undertake our participatory budgeting exercise, which is voting online for the projects that residents want to see happen in their neighbourhoods.
Hi, my name is Emmanuel. We're at Newham Leisure Centre right now, currently running one of our youth projects, Youth FC. It's a football project for young people aged 14 to 18 to come down, relieve some stress and play football.
I got involved because I found a great way to just socialise, have fun, just relax, like time away from studies and everything. In my opinion, keeping your mind on one thing constantly is not a very good thing. It just puts my mind in a place where I don't have to think about anything other than playing football.
The name of our project is The Police. It's drug curtailment and support for ethnic minority families. The Police is helping over 30 families.
Heard about this project through Instagram, and since then I found someone that I've been able to talk to. It has made us realize that as a family we can get through this and there is help out there.
The project's called Generation East London, and it consists of 3 projects: a deaf awareness training, self-defense for deaf and hearing women, and BSL storytelling. They're new. They educate. So they educate the East Ham community about deaf awareness, deaf culture. So we want to make sure that the hearing community are including the deaf community.
It's called the Barber Connect project. So the idea is to network all these local barbers, then we can get all these young people engaged so I can impact them with this barbering skill as a business, and they could be responsible for themselves and for their future.
The name of this year's project is Welcome to the Channel Sea. It's a trio of 3 interlinked parts which aim to bring more people into the Longwall Ecology Garden. Anyone who walks along this path, which is many people every day, will benefit from the general care that we're providing for the space, keeping it clean and tidy.
We came up with the idea of the neighbourhood watch, try and use that as a way of giving people the confidence in their area again, and just making people feel less comfortable committing crime. Things like fly tipping, things like vandalism, bring back that community feel, and use the neighbourhood watch to actually say, you know what, there's a neighbour that can help you out, or there's somebody down the road who's looking out for you, to essentially make people feel safer.
Our project is called Ashok's Vision International, and it's a youth-led nature and biodiversity project where young people come and help improve the community spaces and green spaces. Research suggests there is a clear link between nature and mental well-being. So having to look after plants, it's so important for young people to have access to these type of activities.
We were discussing potential projects that could benefit the community, and this was certainly a project that was in the back of all of our heads. What it is developing the local park area near Warrior Square. It's been disused for quite a while, it's been in urgent need of repair. So we know that by developing it, by improving it, it's going to invite a lot more families to play games and just engage with the rest of the community.
So next year's will be bigger and better. There'll be more participants, there's more time, there's more money, so that people can really get involved and make a difference in their local communities.
It's very important for the community to initiate different projects. There is a sense of ownership when it's community-led, which leads to success.
You don't know how much your idea may benefit someone until it's in place. Definitely 100% go for it.
Projects have an impact on how Newham is shaped as a borough, and that's the beauty of Newham. It's like a vision that we have where we just continue growing and evolving and bringing new people into the idea of why residents should be involved in community engagement.
So there you see some of the outcomes and outputs of the community assembly over the last year. So we've got like things like community garden, compostable toilets, murals, barbershops, all these kind of things. So it ranges from one end to another. So hopefully we're going to generate some really, really good ideas today and have a think about how we can make those projects come to life. So thank you very much for that, Chris. I didn't have to get any gap fillers that time. Okay, so the people power places, we've got 6 steps. I'm not going to go through every single step, but what we will be doing is circulating the presentation. It will be uploaded on the Co-Create platform, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. We'll also have copies in the libraries and your community centres. So come into the library community centre, ask us for a copy. We can download that and give you a copy should you need to. Okay, so the first step, so we're here today. So this is about deciding on what your local priorities are. And I mentioned right at the beginning, that is what we're looking to identify and come out with today. What are the 3 priorities? The next step, we're going to meet in July. And I believe, Fatima, is it the 11th of July? 4th of July? Yeah. The next time we'll be meeting is the 4th of July, where we're going to be starting to discuss some of the projects and some of the solutions that identify themselves or link themselves to the key priorities. Community groups can apply for up to £20,000 and residents can apply for £5,000. So that has remained the same since the last cycle. You'll have an opportunity to then, once the project proposals come in and they've been shortlisted and they've been vetted by your working group, you'll be able to vote on what projects that you feel are important to you. And then the projects will be delivered, and then we're going through an achievements and learnings process. So next slide, please. So this slide, I'll go through it very briefly. It's broken into two halves. So the top half is about the deliberation, the idea generation, the conversations. And then the bottom part, the green part, will be about project delivery. So as we mentioned earlier, the cycle is 2 years long, not 1 year. We found that 1 year was too short because there's lots of situations that we need to address, such as planning permissions, getting highways involved, getting parks involved, and that takes, and we understand that takes a lot of time. So what we have implemented, and we've been listening to the feedback, is that we're providing support clinics. So where you've got projects and ideas coming forward and you just need a little bit of help, a little bit of navigation, we will provide these clinics where you can talk to specialists from our parks team, our public realm team, our highways team, and get a bit more of an understanding if your project is actually viable. And then we've got project clinics at the bottom where we'll be supporting each of the groups, talking and linking up and networking with similar and like-minded residents and community groups. Thank you. Okay, so why are we here today? I think it's kind of self-explanatory, but again, it's an opportunity to meet your neighbours. You may not have met some of your neighbours before, so hopefully today you'll get to meet some of your neighbours. You get to learn, and I'm going to ask Colin a little bit later on to talk about the council's priorities. What is it that the administration is focusing on for the next 4 years, from 2022 to 2026? You're going to discuss your priorities. On your tables, you're going to have, you've got these cards. So if your table host can just hold up these cards. So these are the themed priorities that the council has set. So we're going to talk a little bit about that in just a moment. And then the main part of today is to then vote. We've got a really technological thing here where we've got a device, and we will help you through that, where you can vote for the projects, the priorities that are most important to you. Okay, I think I've done a lot of talking, so I'm going to give the opportunity now for the groups. So you're going to go off into groups for the next 10 to 15 minutes. And for our colleagues online, our hosts online will be talking about this next exercise. So there's 2 questions. So the first question is, let's start with something positive. So what do you love about your neighborhood? So your table host will take that information down, and then we're going to share some of that at the end. And then the second question is, what would you like to change about your neighborhood? Okay, so you're going to spend 5 minutes on each of those questions, and your table hosts and online, our colleagues online, will help you through that. So we'll join back in just before 6:45. So over to the table hosts and to our colleagues online. Thank you. About Plaistow, and we have a look here. I'm going to read some of this out, and the larger the wording is, it means lots and lots of people have been saying the same thing, and the smaller is that there's not that many people talking about it. So the main things that people are talking about Plaistow, what they love about the area, is the transport, community, Plaistow Library, their neighbours, the activities, people, the hospital. So these are all the things that people are saying that they love about Plaistow. So that's brilliant. So it's fantastic. Okay, so if we can move on to the next slide. So the next slide is, we talk to you about what you would like to change, what you would like to see different in the area. And what people are saying is they'd like to see the change in fly tipping. So there's lots of fly tipping in the area that people are mentioning. They're saying that they need more communication, access to banks, more sports activities, more bins, tree maintenance, leisure centre, and cleaner streets. So those are some of the positive things and some of the things that residents would like to change. Thank you. We're going to spend a bit of time in the next interactive session to explore some of these issues a little bit more, and your table facilitators will talk you through some of that. Okay, so look at that wonderful picture. Isn't that a wonderful picture? So I'd like to welcome to the front Colin Ansell, our Chief Executive. We're very fortunate, yep, big round of applause. We're very fortunate to have the Chief Executive who sits at the very top of the council. Each neighbourhood, and there's 8 neighbourhoods, has a corporate director or a senior manager or a senior leader attached to the neighbourhood. And Colin, when he was asked, I believe you jumped at Plaistow, is that right?
I jumped at Plaistow. Good evening and hello everybody. Yes, my name's Colin, and if you're wondering, that was pre-COVID, that picture. So I might not look quite the same anymore. I probably need to get it updated. But yeah, it's great to be here this evening and great to be the sponsor for Plaistow. Yes, I did jump at the opportunity to represent Plaistow, and that's because I come from Plaistow. I might have mentioned this if you've joined any calls that I've been on before, but I was born and raised in Newham. Coming in here today is actually quite a nice feeling because it reminds me of being at school, because I went to Lister and I might have spent a couple of afternoons in here studying. So it's great to be back in here, and I was here last year doing a walkabout, which was fantastic too. And you know, Plaistow is an absolutely fantastic area, and it's a place that I'm deeply passionate about, and it's a place that I'm always learning about. So, you know, we went to open the
recording has stopped. This meeting.
Oh, okay. We'll carry on. Anyone been to the COVID Memorial Garden? Yeah. Where is that? It's not Plaistow Park. It's Balaam Park. It's Balaam Park. So when we went to open it, I said, where is it? They said, and they just showed me a thing on the map. So I went, oh, it's Balaam Park. And then when I went to go, they said, it's in Plaistow Park. I'm thinking, where is Plaistow Park? And it turned out it was Balaam Park. So I learned something new there because I've always called it Balaam Park. So it is absolutely fantastic to be here tonight. And, you know, I've mentioned this before at the launch of People Powered Places, that I believe that Plaistow do the very best projects and have the very best group of residents. And it's, you know, you see that in the responses that you put up on the board about community, that spirit, neighbours coming together, and that's everything I remember. You know, actually, one of the things that I just did around the feedback was I text my uncle and asked him, what's the one thing you'd like to see changed in Plaistow? Because he lives in Plaistow, so I can ask him those questions. And having lived here for 30 odd years of my life, I absolutely understand what it's like. And so it's great to see people coming together, and it's great to be here this evening. But there's pressure on you all too, because I've really said that we're really good. I've really bigged this up about what we're going to do over the next 2 years. So please don't let me down, because I want to be able to show off when we get to the end of the next 2 year period and show the great projects that I know that we're going to do together. Before I talk a little bit about the priorities, I also just want to do something. And Saeed was introducing all the staff that are here tonight, the volunteers and everybody. But you know what? We wouldn't be able to do the events that we do if it wasn't for the staff doing it too. And they put in an incredible amount of work, and I'm really proud of what they do. So can I have a big round of applause, please, for all of the staff that work here, and the volunteers also that take their time to come along to put these events on. So thank you very much. We really do appreciate what you do. So I've spoken already probably far too long than what I was supposed to. And these are the things I just thought to myself, I won't forget Saeed. Now, so there's little, where's the presentation? Are we playing the presentation? So what I want to do is just play a very quick video that talks about our priorities, and then I'll talk a little bit more.
A mortgage is a...
I'm not trying to plug a mortgage. I promise.
You is one of the 1,000 people living in Newham, and are the third fastest growing borough in London. Over 7 in 10 residents are from Black, Asian and ethnically diverse communities. We are at the heart of a new, inclusive economy. We are home to international districts like Stratford and the Royal Docks. Stratford has become the busiest station in the UK. We now have the 3rd highest rate of jobs growth in London. However, we have deep-rooted inequalities. A quarter of our neighbourhoods are the most deprived in the UK. After housing costs, almost half of our residents live in poverty. The cost of living emergency will disproportionately hit our residents. But we can build on the solidarity of our partners and communities, mobilising cross-sector organisations to deliver over 200,000 parcels to those who cannot afford to get food, working with businesses to increase the number becoming London living wage employers, getting people to pledge their commitment to improving people's health and well-being via our 50-step strategy. We are focusing all our energy as a council to build a fairer Newham. We have developed 8 priorities to support residents through tough times and live happy, healthy and well. What will this mean for residents? We are already starting to deliver on these new priorities. For example, providing over £250,000 of assistance to families with food and energy, and securing £600,000 to help residents get their benefits. Expanding our team of community safety officers to keep people safe. Agreed for £1.2 million to invest in children and young people with special educational needs and disabilities. Providing over £800,000 of grants to grassroots projects through our community assemblies. Launching a cost of living crisis response to work collectively across the borough to support our residents during these hard times. Examples of what we'll deliver over the next 4 years include delivering another 1,500 social rent homes our residents can afford as part of a £2 billion investment in housing delivery. Developing family hubs to provide wraparound support for families. Investing £40 million in the coming 4 years to keep our streets and neighbourhoods clean for our residents. Pilot Stratford as a green zone to model an environmentally sustainable neighbourhood and develop our first green budget. Develop a network of data economy hubs in delivering our Newham Sparks vision. Find out more at our Building a Fairer Newham webpage.
Thank you very much. Right, let's go back to the slides. And so that's a little bit about what the organisation is doing, and it's built on the Building a Fairer Newham corporate delivery plan, which we launched last summer. It has, roughly speaking, about 130 different actions that we're going to be doing, and they're themed into 8 different areas. And you'll see on your table some of the placard, what do you call those things? Flashcards? Flashcards. Some of those actually relate back to some of the priorities that we have. So health and well-being, so that's under our Ageing Well, inclusive economy, your neighbourhood, which is all about, and I know this will be a real point of the conversation about fly tipping the environment, the things that we're doing to reduce that. Safe in Newham, I think, goes without saying in terms of, you know, making sure, you saw that on 2 of the videos around how we're making sure we're keeping our streets safe, working with the Metropolitan Police and absolutely holding them to account too. Homes for our residents, so as part of that there's a commitment to 1,500 new homes developed over the next 4 years. Children and young people being at the heart of everything that we do and giving children and young people the best start in life. People powered Newham, well, this is what we're doing here tonight, so that's absolutely one of our priorities. But, you know, really think about that. You know, the biggest and largest participatory democracy, you know, event that we do in the country. And so I think that's really important, and, you know, something that we will continue to do. And a campaigning council. So as part of that, You know, we really want to work with our anchor institutions throughout Newham, for example, to make sure that we're paying the London living wage, making sure that we continue to lobby where we can for government about things that we absolutely feel need to change, like the way the rental system works, the way that that's having a massive impact on the amount of people that are homeless, and, you know, or lots of other things that we'll do in between that. I think I might have already covered some of that stuff off, to be fair. So yeah, so that just gives a little bit of an outline in terms of where we are in terms of priorities. But at the centre of it all is you. At the centre of it all is the residents and what you need and what we need to hear from you. And so as part of that, we do our sort of resident surveys to see how you're feeling, see where there are areas of importance. These People Power Places events are really important for us to understand what really matters to you. Really matters to you, because that helps us shape the policies and the way that we move forward as an organisation. So just to summarise, I don't think is there any more slides after that one? I don't think there is there? Any more slides? You know, like when you don't want to finish something and then realise I had another slide left and then everybody, I look a bit awkward. Is that my slide? No? No, so it's not my slide. So there we go. So I'm just going to finish by saying, yeah, I hope you found that useful. I'm going to be a strong advocate for Plaistow, like I've been all my life. I'm as the chief executive, so just a little bit about that. So that does mean that I am ultimately responsible for everything that the council does, from libraries through to refuse, through to housing, social care. Prior to being the interim chief executive, I was responsible for adult social care and for public health, and I had to deal with everything related to COVID. So I had to deal with care homes, people coming out of hospital, and I was also the discharge lead for Nightingale hospitals. So I had to deal with that too. But I've actually been at the council for 24 years. So I pretty much joined, my first job was packing boxes, straight from Lister, give or take. So it really does mean a lot to me, and I'm really invested in what we do here and across the rest of the borough. So thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Colin. You can stay here just for 2 minutes. Oh, right, yeah. So please, so Colin gave a very comprehensive overview of the council's priorities, and a lot of responsibility lies on the shoulders of the chief executive. So we've got the chief executive and we've also got councillors here today. So if you've got any concerns, issues, please do within the break times, have a conversation with the councillors. I think Councillor Neil Wilson is waving, saying, all go to Councillor Wilson with all his concerns. And we've got Councillor John Morris. I'd like to give Councillor Larissa a wave, who's come over from Green Street to come observe today. So hi Councillor. Okay, so hopefully what Colin put in was the context, why we're actually doing these. And it's all about democracy, it's all about participation, it's all about getting residents involved. So the next section is, again, if we could just wave those flashcards. These, from the eight priorities that Colin mentioned, we've themed them into 6 themes, and they're on your tables here. You're going to be spending the next 30 to 35 minutes discussing those themes, discussing those concerns and those issues. What you're then going to do as a table is, collectively as a table, you're going to identify the 3 priorities that collectively at that table you come up with. If there are any other priorities that you feel hasn't been mentioned and you're very strong about that, please do speak to your table host and they will mark those down. Okay, so next slide, please. Okay, so now we're going to open up the floor the next 5 minutes or so to ask any questions. Hopefully our councillors haven't all run away. Look, all just disappeared. So you've got Colin here who can hopefully answer some questions you have. Where's our councillors? Please raise your hands, councillors. Councillor John Morris, Councillor Lofthouse, Councillor Joy Laguda. So we've got a roving mic. So if you can keep hold of that mic, Colin. I thought you wanted me to be the rover. No. And we've got a roving mic. Okay, so Abu's got the mic. So open the floor, and we've got. Okay, Andrew, at that table, if you can keep the table. So we've got the first question, Dr. Fazana.
Thanks. Mine's the question to all the councillors and colleagues. We know it's no secret that health and particularly general practice is really struggling to meet the needs of our patients. I'm not going to lie about that. I've been working here 22 years and it's very, very difficult with the post-COVID demand. What do you think is one thing that we can do in health? Not me just personally, I'm one of thousands of GPs, very committed to serving the community. What's one thing you can think of that would help to meet some of the health needs of my 5,000 patients, but also the patients of Plaistow? Go, Colin.
Thank you very much. So we understand, my previous life was working hand in hand with our health partners, and I think you're absolutely right that the general practice, primary care, along with the rest of the health service, is really, really struggling at the moment. I think the one thing that can help is the way that we join together and the way that we integrate our services, because certainly the way that I see people's needs and the things that they want, they interweave with everyday life. So you will get someone, I was talking to someone a couple of days ago and they were asking me about healthcare. And they were saying, we need to improve the hospitals, we need to improve. And I said, yes, but it's not just about what the health service does. It's actually about the housing conditions that people have. It's about the jobs that people are able to access. It's about the way that the parks and the green spaces improve their health and well-being. And more often than not, you track it back, and it's not just the health condition that's the issue. It's actually how do we tackle what happens way before that? How do we educate our children so they're making the right choices around food, around exercise, so it all trails back. So my one ask, and I know that you do this, is to make sure that we are synergized with what we do. And actually that's about empowering you, because actually a call for housing, you should have the right directions to be able to get that person into the right place. A call for social care, I know that there are established links, but to me, that's the one thing that I think we can do and improve upon.
My name is Francis, and the question I want to ask is, will it be possible for the council to decentralize some of their decision-making, but some of their activities, so that, for example, not many people have access to their, we see online or whatever website or whatever, everything is these days based on online website and so on and so forth. Will it be possible for the council to decentralize some of this so that if we come to the library here, it will be possible to, that somebody there will be able to get us through?
Yeah, so I think what you're asking is about how you access information, making sure that stuff is local so you can get to it.
Exactly. Instead of online or whatever it is, I don't know.
Yeah, because not everybody is able to access stuff online. So we need to have methods whereby people can access information in different ways too. I think the answer to that question for me is that we're looking into this as part of our, one of our commitments is around 15-minute neighbourhoods. So making sure that people have access to what they need within a 15 minutes of their house. So over time, we'll be looking at all the different offices and things that we have around the borough to think about what can we put into those local areas, whether that's this building, whether that's the building down the road, whether that's over in Stratford, wherever it happens to be. We've got to think about what is it that people, how can we get people to access the services they need quickly, but also how do we make sure people have the right kit and information to be able to access the stuff as well. So yes, absolutely, that's something we're going to talk about in the future.
Good evening, everyone. My name is
Ibrahim Khatri. I'm a resident of Western Road. I'm here, specifically for the one issue. It's a drug dealing issue in my street, especially in North Passage, and it's really shame that I keep reporting from last more than 2 years. Few months ago, Honorable Mayor visited our street, and I mentioned specifically this issue to her, but I don't see any outcome or any action or anything. Specifically, that passage is like a dead end. Nobody can see anything. I requested CCTVs, frequent visit of police, anything, but I don't see any kind of action. That passage is exactly in the middle of that Western Road, and there are 4 schools around that passage. And if you want evidence of, like photos, video evidence, it's also available. I can show you. I reported to police, I reported to council many times. Proof is available, but I don't see any action. And recently, if you want to see that footage, I can show you. They were dealing with school children after the school. So I want to know that you might find my request, or the way I'm saying is a bit aggressive, but we don't see any action. So I don't know. I can see here community safety and all this thing, but it looks like it's only on a paper. I don't see any kind of action or anything. Can you say something?
Okay, so can I just, you said Western Road, yeah? The alleyway. So is it the long alleyway that goes towards the allotments, yeah? Okay, not the other one, because there's a little one on the other side, isn't it? It's the longer one. So what we want to do... Yeah, right, yeah, I know, I know what you mean. So I want to be able to take your details and follow up on that specific point, because you're right. We need to be making sure that we're contacting the police and making sure we're following up on your behalf. And don't forget, my role at Plaistow is not just to come along and talk about the priorities of the council. It's also to be an advocate for Plaistow. So if that means there's things I can pick up and take away, I will. So we'll get someone to come and take your details, and I'll pick it up personally to make sure that that's followed up. Sorry, we have to wait. We'll come back to you. A few more questions. And then we've got a few more activities to get through today.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Pamela Hillier, and I'm a Plaistow resident. I've lived in Newham all my life, born and bred, grew up. My question is around accessibility, and not just accessibility to sign language interpreters, but accessibility to services. So for those of us that have hearing impairment or are deaf, the accessibility is so poor in Newham. We have the highest deaf population in Newham, and that is not being served by the community. None of us can access services because it's all over the phone. You have to shout down the phone and say, they ask you what you want. You have to go repairs. What if you're deaf? How do you do that? We need more online stuff. We need things like, there are 2 brilliant apps. One is called Sign Live and one is called Sign Video. They're 2 fantastic apps that have live interpreters. Accessibility 24 hours a day, free of charge. And actually Sign Live is paid for by the council. I can have up to 100, I think it's 100 minutes a month, which 100 minutes a month is nothing. You use it for emergency services only, basically. So what is happening about that? You go to somewhere, they've got a mask, you ask them to remove their mask, they pull their mask out and you're expected to see down the mask. I tell them I'm hearing impaired, and because I can speak, I'm not deaf enough. But what are those, what about those deaf people that don't have, that are deaf and mute? What about those people? They are not being served well enough. I'm sorry. I have to keep banging on because the deaf community is missing out on so much.
Thank you for your, do you want to, I'll ask the Cabinet Lead for Social Care and Health to start, and then I will come in and answer also. Do you want to start?
So I've already offered on the table to take details. The important issue is if we're saying we're an inclusive borough that includes people with learning difficulties, with hearing impairment, with visual impairment, and, I wish we'd made more progress. Pamela, you make a very good point, and we've had these discussions, as you know, over the years. We do try and work with our health partners in terms of developing services, but it is very important that people actually, and we are all part of, you know, building a fairer Newham, one council, one community. So I have already offered to take, you know, your colleague, sorry, I've forgotten you know, your name, and we're going to exchange some emails. But I wanted to say to the Plaistow group, not only, you know, Plaistow residents, but across the borough, if you do have facilities where you want to include as many people, please remember people, because I've got one hearing aid just gone as well, and it is difficult in this room. Try that we can include people, because the people who are deaf, the people who have hearing impairment, right through to vision impairment, they're part of our community. And we need to recognise that and make certain, just like the refugee and asylum seeking community, just like the people who may be next door to us. If we are serious, we need to make certain our services, and I'm sure the Mayor and Colin and the senior management team are aware of that, it's about how we can actually make certain. I was in a meeting last week, sorry, long answer, I will get to my main point. I was in a meeting last week with the senior officers in the Adults and Health Directorate, and we are looking seriously at how we could make services both in the council and across the health sector, because we're now trying to work out an integrated partnership. So I think you're pushing out an open door. It does mean money, but it also needs us to actually be your advocate. It shouldn't just be deaf people. It shouldn't just be blind people. It should just be those with learning difficulties or those with neurodivergent autism spectrum.
Thank you, Councillor Wilson. And yeah, just to add, I completely agree with that. I mean, the accessibility and hidden disability as well is something that we all need to be absolutely aware of. And, you know, I'm sorry that you've had those experiences. And, you know, as Councillor Wilson outlined, that's certainly something that we will continue to push against. And as Councillor Wilson said, that's something that he will raise with the relevant teams as well. But I think it's part of the psyche of what we do. It isn't, you know, it should be part and parcel of how we develop the services and how you ask about the website. The website needs to be better. It needs to be more inclusive in what it does. It needs to have better accessibility. And that has to be a consideration for everything we do. So I'm sorry that the experiences that you had, and it will get better.
Thank you very much, Colin. So I just want to make sure that I don't leave any of our residents out online. Is there any questions online?
No, Saeed.
Great. Okay, thank you very much. So we've come to the end of the question and answer session. So if we go back onto the slide, and I know there's a number of other questions that people are raising. So at the break or during the next session, if you can approach your councillors, Colin will be around. So please do ask those questions. Thank you very much, Chris. Okay, so this is the main part of the session today, is to talk about the priorities that are most important to you. So online and here today, your table hosts will take you through the next session. So you're going to be spending times going through each of the cards and having a conversation about those priorities and if any new priorities come up. And then at the end, what we would like you to do is then highlight per table 3 key priorities. So table hosts will be able to talk you through that. We want to have 3 priorities from each of the tables, and then we'll come back and feedback to see what's actually happened. And then what we would like to do, table hosts and online, if we can have one person giving a little bit of feedback, 1 minute feedback on what the table has discussed. Your table hosts will decide that. So we will be back at 22:08, okay? So over to the table hosts for the next session. So we'll be back at 20:08. Ladies and gentlemen, if we can, we're running a little bit late. We're going to overrun by 10 minutes. So the quicker we come together, the quicker we can leave. But it's really important that we get all the information correct. So has every table submitted their priorities? Any table that hasn't? No? Okay, fantastic. Okay. We are going to vote individually in just a moment, so nobody is allowed to leave. I know quite a few people have left early because they've needed to get home. So I'm just going to ask Chris very quickly, and is everybody online okay if they put their votes, put their priorities through?
Yes, we have, Syed.
Thank you, Kulsuma. That's great. So I'm just going to ask Chris, looking at the results that have come through, has anything not come through as a priority?
Inclusive economy hasn't come through.
Inclusive economy. Okay, so just want to double check, because every table put through a priority. We need to ensure that all the priorities that have been put through are what you're going to be voting on. There were 6 priorities that were put on your table. We've just been, Chris has just informed that inclusive economy was not put through as a priority. Can I just double check with all the tables that inclusive priority was not put through as one of your top 3? Andrew? No? Sadia? Amelie? Fatima? Ruth? No? And anybody online was inclusive?
No.
No? Fantastic. So what that now means is you're going to be voting on the top 5 priorities that have been identified. So this part is really important, okay? This part is really important because you're going to vote now on those top 5 priorities, but you're going to identify what are the 3 that are most important to you. And those will be the priorities that will set ourselves up for the next 2 years. So my colleagues around the table will be showing you how to vote, and online, my colleagues online will also be showing you how to vote. We've got if you go to the website online, typing in www.menti.com. So all of you who have a smartphone, those of you who do not have a smartphone, we have got devices and we'll be going around the room helping you to fill that form out. It's an individual vote. This is your vote as an individual, not as a collective. Okay, so Chris, do we have the 5 priorities loaded up? Okay, so when you type in, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, if I can just grab your attention, this is an important part of today's session, is that when you type in the www.menti.com, it's going to ask you for a code. That code is on your table, and your table host will show you, but the code is 55855524, but it's on your table. You're going to have 7 minutes to vote. So we're going to go around the room and making sure that you all vote, and then we're going to do a big announcement to see what those top 3 priorities are. Any questions? We've got colleagues around the room. So, and online, if everyone, our colleagues online can do that, you've got 7 minutes and we will bring you back. So good luck with your voting.
Yeah.
We can hear you now. We can hear you now.
So,
Thank you.
sorry about that. People online. Health and well-being, top at 60. Now, my maths would dictate that community safety at 42 is second, closely followed by environment and public spaces. Now, that's clearly the top 3 that you've decided on behalf of all the residents who can't be in the room. We've got to all fit everybody in Plaistow in the room, but you've taken on a very important civic role here, and we're going to have civic pride, and we're going to make certain that it's a community-based development. Now, that's enough from me, but don't worry, I'm not going to be Graham Norton, and I won't, I don't get that much. Is that all right, everybody? Is that enough?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, Councillor Wilson. So everybody online and everybody around the room, give yourselves a big round of applause. Those are your top 3 priorities. So thank you very much for that, Chris. So just to recap, health and well-being, community safety, and environments and public spaces are the top 3 priorities that will be set for the next 2 years. So that's amazing. Thank you very much. So we are running a little bit short on time, so I'm going to very quickly, but give enough time for our working group members. So working group members, if you wouldn't mind either standing up or giving a wave. You see, nobody wants to stand up apart from Nicole and, oh, there we go. So these are your working group members. And do we have any working group members online? Any working group members online?
Don't think so. Can you come forward,
Thank you.
anyone?
All of your working group members have went through a rigorous recruitment campaign. It was a hard campaign, wasn't it? Yeah, so we've managed to recruit, if you can just go back onto the slide, please, Chris, 15 working group members that will be supporting the community, your community assembly, your people-powered places for the next 2 years. So that's a huge commitment that they will be supporting through shortlisting, through monitoring, and being part of the whole process. It was very interesting. We carried out a little exercise with our working group members on what they found or what they felt was the most important factors about living in Plaistow. So youth, fly tipping, community safety, health and well-being, and placemaking came up. So the top 3 priorities actually link in with these. So you can see it's all like-minded people within the local community. So a big round of applause for your working group members, and a thank you very much. Okay, so we're almost coming to an end. I'm going to now invite Councillor Charlene McLean, who's a Cabinet Member for Resident Engagement and Resident Experience, just to say a few closing remarks to bring the Assembly to a close. But before we do that, I need to make sure that each and every one of you fill out the evaluation form. There's a QR code, which our colleagues will mention, but also the evaluation forms on your desk. So, Councillor McLean, welcome.
Brilliant, thank you. Can you all hear me okay? Yep, I'm assuming that's, thank you. So I'll be brief because I know we're 1 minute over, but thank you so much to everyone for coming this evening. It was really great to hear the discussions online. Unfortunately, not all of ours were chosen to be priorities, but that's democracy, that's what happens. As a Plaistow resident, it was really good also to, to take part in the discussions, because I go to all of these meetings and I just listen, but I was able to have an input because although I am a councillor and I am the lead member for this area, I'm also a resident, and I was a resident before I was a councillor, and I'll be a resident after I'm a councillor. So huge thanks to the team for their hard work on all of this. It does take a lot of work, as Colin said. To the councillors for their involvement, because they're there to help you. So before you go home, have a chat with them and yeah, see how you can help to improve your neighbourhoods together. Thank you to the residents and to the working group members also, but I'll leave it brief. Unfortunately, I'm sorry I couldn't be there this evening, but I'm at home. That's the joys of having hybrid and being able to participate even though, I was unable to be there. So tell your friends to get involved, think of your project ideas, and I look forward to seeing you at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor. And just finally, a huge thank you from the neighbourhood team for being involved. Thank you to Colin, thank you to councillors, and to my staff colleagues who helped put this event together. Thank you all very much for coming. We'll see you back on the 4th of July. So please go away. And again, just reiterating what the council was saying, we need to get project proposals put forward. Any questions or queries about those, come and approach the neighbourhood team and we'll help to navigate you through that process. So have a safe journey home and we'll see you back on the 4th of July. Take care now.